how do you smooth clay? When you're conditioning clay, this is where you're gonna work the air out of it, okay? Now the biggest thing that most people do is they just grab the clay and then they work it until it's a little bit warm and then they roll it into a ball or they flatten it out and it's nice and smooth, okay? But I can tell you right now, this is not smooth. This thing is filled with air, okay? And I can prove that to you by doing a really, really simple test, which is running it through a pasta roller, okay? So we're gonna flatten this out, okay? So I'm gonna just take this, I'm just gonna squish it a little bit flat so it'll fit through my pasta roller. Then we're gonna run it through. This is on the widest setting that I've got, number 1. Okay, you can see that we've got air trapped in this thing all over the place. There, there, there. If I flip it over, got more there. And then we get these also these little striations in it. And let me see if I can get it to focus a little bit better. So like you can see, we get these lines that are happening, these lines like this, okay? Those lines show that there is air trapped in it. We've got a bubble there as well. Okay, so if I am conditioning this clay and I get that little bit of air in there, it doesn't need to be a lot of air, but what happens is obviously when you heat up air, it expands. If you've encased it like a bubble inside of polymer clay, what it's gonna do is it's gonna find a way out and it's gonna use the path of least resistance, which typically ends up being a line like this. So if I have this here, much like phyllo dough, if you've ever cooked, you know, like some nice phyllo dough where you put butter in the layers and then you smush it, and then you layer it and you smush it, we still have all these lines in here, okay? And even if we go and smooth that out so that it looks like there's no lines in there, those lines are still technically in there, all those layers. And so what happens is if there's air trapped inside there, it's going to come up and it's gonna shatter until it can get its way out of there. And that's what creates those really thin looking, fine cracks on Sculpey, okay? It's not that it has, it's underbaked or anything like that. It's just that you've got air trapped in there. So the best way to condition clay so that you have no air trapped inside of it is not with a pasta roller actually, but it is using this technique. So what you're going to do is we're going to end up folding it, okay? And then we're going to smush it with our hands, but as we're smushing it, we're going to twist it at the same time, okay? So it's twist. So we're going to fold and twist, fold and twist, okay? And what this is gonna do is it's gonna work your clay, and I'll use both my thumbs here, and we're gonna fold and twist, okay, until we can get it so that we're basically compressing the clay onto itself. So we're working all those bubbles out of it, okay? Now, if we do that correctly, okay, so and then as we're getting closer to a ball shape, you know, because like I keep flattening this back out, right? But then obviously if I'm folding it over, I'm getting air trapped in there, okay? So that's why we're folding it and twisting it. But then as we're getting to a point where we're done working the clay, we're done conditioning it, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start using less pressure, okay, in the folds. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lighten up our pressure until we're then just working the outside of the clay into a shape, be that shape round or square or whatever we want, okay? So now, once we've got it nice and conditioned, okay, I'm gonna run it through the pasta roller again to show you that there's no air inside this, okay? It's also completely workable. We've got a really nice workable clay here, nice and warm, okay? And then we can run it through the pasta roller. There's no air in that. Okay, so when I go to bake this, I'm not going to have those weird striations in it. Okay, so that's how you do that. Now, again, we're going to twist, fold, and this is what really works your thumbs. Okay, and we're just basically just pressing it because we're just trying to work out all that air that's in there to make sure that. Now, when you're doing like pottery or whatever, they've got that where they just whack it onto the table and then they keep picking it up and whacking onto it. It's doing the exact same thing because if you get air trapped into pottery, when you go put it in the kiln, that temperature is so hot that it causes the air not to just expand but to explode, and that can cause all of your pottery to like basically explode in there and destroy your kiln. So you've got to be really careful with that. With polymer clay, it's just going to cause it to leak and cause cracking. Okay, so now the next question is how do we smooth out clay and get rid of our fingerprints? Okay, this is a common question I get asked a lot. That's why it's called a common question, Paul. Learn your words and stuff. So the big thing that you want to work with is you want to be able to get your clay smoothed out, okay? So we're going to use what I call pedal pressure. Think about it as though you're stroking a rose petal, okay? You want to use just enough pressure that you're able to feel the texture of the rose, but not so much pressure that you're going to tear the petal, okay? So, and then once we get to a point where we're happy with the smoothness on it, okay, like this, you can see I still have some fingerprints in it. I'm just going to intentionally throw some fingerprints on there just to, so we can see, you know, I got fingerprints on there. That's not sexy, okay? So I can sit here and I can smooth it out as much as I want. Okay, and I'm using a super, super, super soft touch with this, okay? So you can see it's now shiny, but you still see I've got those striations because I've got rough hands. See those nice little scrapes in there? So this is what I use to smooth out clay so that it is perfectly smooth. Use a little bit of spit. I'm not licking my finger or my thumb. I'm applying spit to my thumb, okay? And the reason I use spit is because spit is slightly acidic and also a natural lubricant, and you carry it with you. That's it. It's really simple. So you want to get it as smooth as you can, and then you can just finish it up by using, now you can also do that with a tool, you know, like if I'm working on a smaller area and I can't get my thumb on there, I'll put a little bit of spit on the back of the tool, and I can do the same thing. I can take the tool here. It's going to work better than water. See, like as I'm moving this around, I know it's gross, but I'll bake it off so I don't have to worry about germs. Okay, but I can sit here and smooth this out because it's a lubricant. It's going to move on there. Now people are like, well, why don't I just use water? I'll show you. So that's water, okay? Water is tacky, okay? You're not going to get the same movement as you are with it. It's holding. And so if I smooth that out, so you can notice there, these divots. You see that's what we're not getting a smooth texture on there. Whereas if I do the exact same thing with spit, it's the exact same thing I did on the other side. We don't get those divots because it's just enough of a lubricant that it's not gonna jump on there, okay? It's going to smooth it out, all right? Now, the water does allow it to get shinier, you know, but so would like nothing on there. But if I use nothing, you can see I'm still going to get that jumpiness that's on there that it doesn't get smooth, okay? So it all comes down to just using a tiny lubricant. Now, there are other things that you can use. You could use rubbing alcohol, but that's going to slightly dissolve the piece. You can use a little bit of vinegar would do the same thing. Okay, but if you look, now we've got it completely smooth. That's a baby butt smooth right there, you know? So that's how you do it.